Hello everyone, and welcome to Live with OKclarity.com, a live experience that will bring you clarity on 3 steps to have an effective evening routine. Tonight's live stream will be about 20 minutes long. At the 15-minute mark, I will go through some Q&As that are posted on the chat. Happy to answer any questions that come up. And again, if you ask questions during the live, I'll be answering them at the end, so have no fear. All questions will be answered. Just wait for another couple people to come on. Definitely happy to have everyone. If you want to put in the comments where you're coming in from, that'd be great. And just an important disclaimer, as with every OKclarity live and podcast, that everything discussed is for educational entertainment purposes only, not a substitute for professional mental health, wellness, medical, or financial advice. Okay, thank you everyone for being here. Just a short introduction. My name is Avi Friedman. I am a marriage and family therapist, and now I specialize as a time management coach. I help busy professionals deal with all different areas of time management, whether it comes to procrastination, it comes to your routines, it comes to scheduling your day, dealing with all the projects and all the overwhelm in your life. That's really where I come in and help people. And this is a topic that comes up all the time in coaching. When people are struggling with time management, oftentimes it comes to their evening routines. Very, very common and something that I address all the time. So one of the reasons why it's so common is because when we have all different parts of our day and we're struggling with keeping track of time, and at night is a time where we really want to wind down. We really want to relax, take things easy, not have so much structure. I mean, during the day, we have a lot of things that come up, a lot of innate structure, whether it's in the morning or whether it's during our work day or whether it's, let's say, dinner time or family time, supper time, and bedtime. So those are structured times. However, when it comes to evening, it's a time where people feel like they don't really have so much structure. They don't really have so much holding them back from staying up later and actually getting into bed on time. So this comes up a lot in my coaching. People even come to me for business purposes, and they say, I want to work on structuring my day in my business. And then what inevitably happens is we go to dealing with the evening routine, because if you're going to sleep at 2, 3 in the morning, like we'll discuss a little bit later, then the chances of you having an effective workday are going to be much, much smaller for that. So, and I know just in a study that I saw recently is that about 35% of adults don't get enough sleep. And again, a lot of it comes to either not, again, whether it comes to insomnia or other clinical reasons. Again, that's not the topic for tonight. But when it comes to making sure they're having the routine in place, that really is what we're going to be discussing. So again, just in terms of the importance of sleep, and we all know that we need a lot of sleep. We need 7, 8, 9 hours of sleep. And yet the chances of us actually getting that are much smaller. And again, if you have any questions, put them in the chat. I'd love to answer them afterwards. So the one client that comes to mind when I picked this topic to discuss tonight is a client of mine that I've been working with recently. And he was complaining to me that he was not having much sleep in his day. And the reason is because he would get sucked into his phone. He said, there's no reason for me not to go to sleep. There's no reason that it's 2 in the morning and I'm still on my phone, I'm still scrolling social media, I'm still unwinding. And how do I get myself to really get back to bed? And it comes up, I know a lot of people have that struggle, and I've had that struggle in the past myself. And one of the things that we discussed were, what are all the things holding him back from getting into bed? And obviously the most common one is our phones or our laptops or our TVs, and it's keeping us away from actually closing our eyes. Again, the way social media is designed, where there's constant scrolling or autoplay, and there's definitely things that we can do to make sure that we're actually getting an effective sleep routine. So the 3 things that my clients and I were working on, the first thing was when we discussed, okay, so what does your day look like? He said, okay, my wife and my kids go to sleep about 9 o'clock, and then I have an open night, an open schedule. And inevitably what I do is I have a couple of errands I need to do, whether it's washing dishes or cleaning up or taking out the garbage, and then I'm pretty much free. It's too early to go to sleep at 9, but what am I going to do till 11? Okay, I'll just go on my phone, I'll check all the missed notifications, I'll check social media, I'll check the news, and then next thing I know, it's 11 o'clock has come and gone, and it's really more 12, 1, 2 a.m. So the first thing we discussed is trying to find an activity that is a productive relaxation or unwinding. And we literally had a session today about this. And I challenged him to, what are things that actually get you to relax? What are things that you enjoy? And there's a lot of different types of activities. I'd love to see if you have yours put in the chat. I'd love to see those. Some for him, it was he mentioned he loves history books, and history books is a great way for him to unwind. Some people, I personally like Sudoku puzzles. That's an activity that I find relaxing. Some people like to do like house projects, things around the house that they've always wanted to do. Some people have passion projects. If they want to write a book, that's something that they've always wanted to do, or they wanted to check out some 3D printing, or they want to listen to some calming music or meditate. All these things are great. And what's most important is that we're doing it intentionally when we have that time at night. Now, we're not just sitting there and quote unquote killing time and saying, you know what, I'm going to scroll social media and that's going to be my unwinding. Because chances are it's not going to make us relaxed. Chances are when we're scrolling and we're scrolling and we're scrolling, or we're watching something, we're not going to feel relaxed, because what often happens is in the back of our minds, we're feeling like we should be doing something else. We should be doing something more productive. We should be doing something that's actually beneficial for us. And when we're planning our day and we're having our night where we're just quote unquote scrolling and unwinding, but we don't feel relaxed. So we keep on watching and we keep on watching and we keep on watching. And next thing you know, it's much later than we thought. So the first step to having an effective evening routine is to find an activity that actually relaxes you. And again, it's very personalized. Some people enjoy reading. Some people don't. Some people would rather do an audiobook. Some people want to make phone calls and socialize with friends, and they find that relaxing. Some people want to give themselves a manicure. Whatever it is for you, whatever you find relaxing, do that activity, so that way you can actually finish the activity. Let's say you do it for an hour or even for 30 minutes. After that, you're going to feel better, you're going to feel more calm and more at ease, and then a higher chance that you're going to go to sleep earlier versus later. So that's really step number one. Step number one is to find an activity that calms you down, it relaxes you and unwinds you, and then put that into your evening routine. The second suggestion that I had for him, because he was telling me that, okay, that's great, I'm in bed. Sometimes when I'm in bed on time, I feel like, okay, it's 11:30, I'm in bed, but then I'm distracted by my phone and I'm constantly scrolling for another 20, 30 minutes, an hour, or stuff like that. Again, sometimes with music, sometimes with a podcast, sometimes with social media, etc. So the next suggestion I had to create an effective evening routine is to plug your phone in away from your bed. What's so important is that, for many reasons, again, whether you get into the blue light so you'll sleep better, whether it is because it distracts you while you're going to sleep. Sometimes when you have your phone next to you and then you wake up in the middle of the night and you check your email or check notifications or check Instagram, whatever it is, and then the next morning you wake up and you see, like, the first thing you do, even before Modani, even before you really process what's going on in your life, the first thing we do is that we reach for our phones and we want to see, what does someone else have for us? What is their intention for us? And what that deprives us of is that ability to wake up and just be in the moment and be present. Again, that affects both evening routine and it affects morning routine. Both very, very critical. When we wake up and we say, how is my day starting? Or it prevents us from going to sleep on time. It prevents us from getting to bed at a normal time sometimes. And it also prevents us from going to actual sleep, because there's always something more we can check. Whether we're checking incessantly, whether we check once in a while. But if there's a notification, or even if there's no notification, having our phone next to us will impact our ability. It also does impact if we don't have an alarm clock and we snooze our phone. That also will help if our phone's not plugged in next to our bed. Personally, I have my phone plugged in the living room. If I need something, if some emergency, God forbid, in the middle of the night, my ringer will be on, or my wife's phone will be on, and they can reach us that way. At the same time, it's very, very helpful for me to have a separate alarm clock. If you want a suggestion, reach out. I can help you with one that I personally use. And it's something where it will make a huge difference both in actually going to sleep and when you wake up. And I've had clients who told me that they were completely attached to their phone and they were just nonstop they're always looking at notifications. I had one client that told me that he wakes up at 2 in the morning because he used the restroom, and he's checking his phone. He's checking his work emails. And I said, like, honestly, it's not good for you. And he recognized that, and he was trying to stop. So the first step that we did for him was to have his phone plugged in, not next to his bed. He did it a few feet away, and that gave him that separation that helped him process and realize, wait a minute, let me just focus on being present, even for just 30 seconds in the morning, or even to help me go to sleep earlier because I'm not going to scroll for another 20 minutes because I want to make sure my phone is plugged in. So that's a really, really critical step for an effective evening routine. Again, it also does impact the middle of the night and the morning as well, but keeping our phone plugged in away from our bed is a very, very critical step for making sure we get to bed on time. And the last one is, I was working with someone today, and he was telling me, okay, I go to sleep at 2 in the morning. There are some times where I lose track of time, and I want to go to sleep much earlier. And I asked him, okay, so right now you're going to sleep at 2. What time do you want to actually go to sleep? And he said, yeah, probably about 11. I'm like, okay. So keeping in mind that to make such a drastic shift, to go from being consistently going to sleep at 2 to wanting to go to sleep at 11, that's a 3-hour difference. And there's a lot of resistance that will come up within that, because it's a big shift to go from going to sleep at 2 to going to sleep at 11. There's a lot of time in between, and there's a lot of, the chances of it being so effective right away is much smaller than making smaller goals. Again, making bite-sized goals, it's very in line with Atomic Habits by James Clear, trying to make smaller, more actionable goals. And what we discussed was, okay, it's obviously, ideally, you'd love to be asleep by 11. That would be amazing, right? At the same time, is it a realistic goal for right now? From your being accustomed to be going to sleep at 2 in the morning, to make a goal that you're going to sleep 3 hours more per night and not be resistant to that is going to be a challenge. So rather, instead of making a goal for going to sleep from 2 a.m. to 11, let's try to scale it back by a half hour, or let's try to scale it back by an hour. And making smaller, more actionable goals is most effective for an evening routine. Because if we find that we're turning our phones off too early, or in our mind it's too early, like I still have another 3 hours I typically stay up for, the chances are we're going to snooze that alarm, or we're going to, if we have, let's say, a Freedom app or settings on our phone that shuts off our phone at a certain time, we're going to find an alternate way to stay on screens or to stay on our phone, either disable the app or go on our laptop or take another phone in the house or another device in the house, because we still have that resistance. It's too early. It's way too early. Rather, what's good, and I had another client, and she was struggling with consistently, for her, she was going to sleep at 3 a.m. every day, and on Motzei Shabbos, she was going to sleep at 5 a.m. Pretty much throughout the week. And this is a couple years ago we worked together, and I knew that she wanted to go to sleep earlier, and she told me that because I clean up the kitchen and I take too long, and then I scroll social media. And what we did, we said, okay, let's start from 3, then let's go to 2 o'clock. And we celebrated the victories of going from 3 to 2, because that's another hour of sleep each night. Imagine what that will do for you if you have an extra hour each night of sleep. And then we went from 2 o'clock to 1 o'clock, and then slowly we went to 12. She wanted 11, but I don't think she was capable of going all the way to 11 in that short of a time. So we were able to get her to 12, 12:30, and she felt like a whole different person. She was able to be up for her daughter at the bus stop every morning instead of sleeping in and not being available for her kids. So those are the 3 steps I wanted to go through. The 3 steps, and any questions, please put them in the chat, in the Instagram comments. I will address them. The 3 steps of making an effective evening routine. First thing, find an activity that actually relaxes you, actually rewinds you. And whether that is meditation, whether that's reading, whether that's listening to music, whether that is giving yourself a manicure or pedicure, whatever that is for you. It could be calling a friend. It could be doing a passion project. I have one client of mine, he wanted at nighttime, he wanted to spend the time writing a sefer that he'd always imagined writing. And for him, that was enjoyable. For him, it was relaxing. And because of that, he was able to go to sleep knowing that he accomplished in the day. So that's number 1, find an activity that gets you calm It gets you ready for bed. Number 2 is that when you are ready for bed, plug your phone in away from your bed as far as possible to make sure that you're really staying consistent with your goals of when you want to go to sleep. And the third one is don't make too large of a goal when you're scaling back. Again, if you're going to sleep at 2 a.m. and you want to go sleep at 11, then you need to take smaller steps to make sure that it does stay consistent. Okay, so now I'm going to look to see if there's any comments in any questions in the comments. Oh, 1 second. Here we go. Okay, we have here a time management coach. Okay, so happy to have you here. Let's see what else. Any questions? Scroll social media doesn't take energy, but making a puzzle does. And then I'm tired, so I end up on my phone. So that's a great question. So Darrow, so scrolling doesn't take energy and making a puzzle does. So how do I find an activity that doesn't take energy? So the question is, so even with scrolling social media, so it doesn't take energy, but does it actually get us more calm and unwound, right? So again, a lot of times we have the social media that we're scrolling. It's true it doesn't take energy in the moment, but what it does for us is it gets us more energized by watching it. It stimulates our brain more. So we're not actually unwinding. We're actually getting more wound up sometimes, especially if there's a lot of things on, let's say it's news or getting involved in drama. And it really, as much as we are not expending energy, it doesn't unwind us and it doesn't relax us. So I would say that even though on a puzzle, again, I know Faye has some great coloring pages. I've seen a lot, so it's also a great activity. And again, it takes energy to think about like which colors you want to use and things of that nature, but it does create that calming effect on us. So great question. Suggest to set a time for how long to be on social media. That's a great idea. Again, you can either set a timer or you can have an accountability partner for how long you want to spend on social media, or you can have settings built into your phone, whether it's password protected or the Freedom app, the ways that you have a limit on social media. Those are all great ideas as well. Let's see, any questions here? Stimulates the brain, social media. Yeah, exactly. Thank you, time well planned. It's true. Social media does, as much as it takes our brain off from thinking, and at least in what we think we're doing, we're taking our brain off from actually expending energy. The truth is, there's a lot more that's happening in our brains as we're scrolling social media. So again, I'm not saying not to use social media at night. Again, that wouldn't be realistic for most of us. Again, we do want to catch up on things. We do want to scroll the news. We want to see what's happening. But I would say that if there's a way to incorporate a relaxing activity into our evening routine, if there's a way to take something that we enjoy and take something that's going to be a positive unwinding or a positive relaxation and incorporate into our evening routine, the chances are we're going to be able to get to bed at an earlier time and we'll feel more relaxed. What happens, as you said, for social media, if you want to scroll social media, again, if you have a timer and you're being intentional and saying, okay, I'm going to, part of my unwinding is spending 20 minutes scrolling through Instagram and seeing what the latest videos or the latest clips or the latest pictures are. Again, that's great, and if it's intentional, that's amazing. The challenge is sometimes it's hard to stick to that timer. So again, there's a lot of strategies that can be used for that. What I would say is that if you can try to find a positive activity, not to replace it, but to be joined by scrolling social media, and that you'll use both of those together, there's a higher likelihood of success. And if you want the alarm clock that I use, I call it a sonic bomb. It's the alarm clock that I use. Not an affiliate. I just happen to really love it because it has a vibrating shake awake effect, so I don't have to bother anyone else when I am waking up. Okay, so I guess that's it for the questions. Thank you everyone for joining. Really, really a pleasure. I hope that tonight's conversation really gave some clarity on the 3 steps for an effective evening routine. Again, just to recap for those that just joined, the 3 steps are trying to find a relaxing activity, something that actually actively relaxes you as opposed to scrolling social media or scrolling or watching clips online, which don't expend energy, but they're not relaxing us. So we feel like we need to constantly be watching more. The second one is try to plug our phone in away from our bed. Again, if we're using it as an alarm, it's a great way to stop snoozing. Or if we're or just it's helpful to get us into bed and to stay in bed and not jump to our phones while we're trying to sleep. And the third one is trying to make small goals. If you're going to sleep at 12 and you want to go to sleep at 10, try every 15 minutes. Try, okay, for the next week I'm going to try 11:45. For the next week I'm going to try just to be in bed by 11:30, but I can go to sleep at 12 also. Again, smaller goals are most helpful for that. Thank you for being here, and I look forward to spending time with you all again very soon. And again, if you want to reach out to me, I'm on OKclarity. Give me a ring there, and I'd love to answer any questions. Have a great evening.